Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic in Vedic astrology today. And today we'll be back on our series on planets in various houses, and we are going to discuss a very important planet, the planet Sun. And around Sun, we know that all the other planets go around the Sun. A very, very important planet. And how does it behave? What are the effects when Sun is placed in the 12th house of your natal chart, your Lagna chart, or the Rashi chart, whatever you may want to call it, at the time of birth? So once again, we are not talking about transits here, or gochara as it's called in Sanskrit. We are talking about the fixed position of Sun at the time of birth. That's where it was transiting when you were born. Sun was placed in the 12th house. What are the effects? Okay, so we've been talking about the planet Sun in our earlier videos and various other houses. So people who have not watched that, please refer to those, because that way it becomes very easy for you to kind of connect to the various positions of Sun in various houses. And as we move along, how does it behave in the final house, which is the 12th house? We've already discussed 1 through 11. Okay, so how does Sun behave in the 12th house? What effects does Sun give in the 12th house as per the ancient scriptures? And by the way, once again, I want to remind my viewers that all my videos are a direct reference to the ancient scriptures. It is not a figment of imagination of any modern day astrologer or any kind of an astrologer who has published it on paper or the internet or out of his own imagination. Okay, it is coming directly from the ancient scriptures. So please have firm faith and belief in it, because the ancient sages, they are an authority, and I would say their word can be trusted. And I'm sure you'll agree with me on that as well. So Sun, when it is placed in the 12th house, it has been described in the ancient scriptures very clearly that he will suffer from appendicitis in the 36th year of his life. So when they say 36th year, it'll be 35 plus. Okay, that is the 36th year. So check out various birth charts where you see Sun placed in the 12th house. See if what has been claimed by the sutras is true or not. But then there are conditions. Once again, don't jump to a conclusion. See what zodiac sign Sun falls in the 12th house, in case it's a very auspicious sign for Sun to fall in, which means if it's placed in its own sign of Leo, okay, in the 12th house for a Virgo ascendant person, then of course the appendicitis situation may not be there, or it may not be as severe as has been mentioned here. If there are benefics aspecting the Sun in the 12th house, then also it could be a different situation. If there are malefics aspecting the 12th house, then of course the problem could be more severe. So just don't jump to a conclusion, because if you jump to a conclusion, you will start losing faith in the ancient scriptures, because you will feel that, okay, well, this didn't happen. This guy's Sun is placed in the 12th house, and that's what's been written in the ancient scriptures. So astrology is all, it does not make sense. No, you have to look at the entire chart in totality. What are the conjunctions? What are the aspects? What is the strength? What are the degrees? Everything. And then come to a final conclusion. And then of course look at other tools and other principles based on different tools and techniques by different sages, and then come to a final conclusion. But this video is just going to give you an indication, as to this could be a probability if Sun is placed in the 12th house. Okay, not a conclusive analysis. So beware, and I'm once again warning you, do not come to a conclusion without looking at a birth chart in totality, and without looking at the birth chart with several tools. Okay, anyways, also it has been written that that person who has Sun in the 12th house will waste his money on undesirable purposes, not good purposes. Okay, but once again, look at the aspects. Say for example, Jupiter, which is a very spiritual planet, and if it aspects the 12th house here in the birth chart, then of course the expenditure will not be on undesirable or bad purposes. Okay, so I mean, I don't want to keep repeating myself, that don't jump to a conclusion based on this just shloka only. Also, he will be very sinful if the sun is placed in the 12th house, and eventually he will have loss of wealth. Okay, he also may be accused of killing a cow, although he may not actually kill the cow, but he may be accused of killing a cow. Okay, and then, you know, test out in charts. You know, there have been instances in India recently where a lot of innocents have been accused of killing the cow, although they may not have killed it, or, you know, sometimes they may, but, you know, many a times they've not killed a cow, and because of political reasons they may have been accused. So I don't know if you'll have access to their birth charts or not, but that would be one idea I just thought of, you know, checking out their birth charts. He definitely, so the ancient scriptures have described that in case sun is placed in the 12th house and it has no, I'm adding this from my own, that it may not have any benefic aspects, then definitely he may be accused of killing a cow. Okay, and also very interestingly, that he will live away from his native land. So in ancient times, as we've already discussed in our earlier videos as well, that going away from your native land was not considered auspicious or good, or desirable rather. And now, of course, with the change of times, you know, the Western world and the glitter of the Western world, and the money and the dollars and the euros and the francs attract people to go and live and make their livelihood in a foreign land. Okay, so although, you know, sun's placement is not considered to be good in terms of the ancient scriptures, that, oh, poor guy has to leave his native land and he has to go overseas for his livelihood, in today's day and age it could be slightly different. So people who want to go and live in foreign countries, one of the combinations given by the ancient scriptures through the shloka is that if your sun is placed in the 12th house, then there is a strong possibility of you living in foreign lands. So they could be, you know, astrologers, people could be coming to astrologers and explain them that, hey, I want to go and live in a foreign land and make my livelihood there. Look at this one very important combination. If sun is placed in the 12th house, he has a probability, but then look at other factors as well, the entire chart, and then if you look at the entire chart, then come to a final conclusion. Okay, now again, once again, this shloka extends and says that in case sun is associated with a strong and auspicious planet, then he will enjoy the blessings of God. So what does the shloka mean when sun is associated with a strong and auspicious planet? Well, auspicious planets, what are auspicious planets? We know that auspicious planets are a strong moon, okay, an unafflicted Mercury, and of course the major benefic auspicious planets are Venus and Jupiter. Okay, look at these planets, and then look at it vice versa. In case, you know, Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu are involved here, then of course it's just the opposite. He may not enjoy the blessings of God. But once again, you know, look at other factors. He will also enjoy bed comforts in case sun is placed in the 12th house and has a relationship there, okay, or it has an association there with auspicious or benefic planets, okay, or even one benefic planet, and does not have any association with malefic planets, then he will enjoy bed comforts. And bed comforts, what does come in bed comforts? You know, he'll have a great bed. You know, he'll sleep very well. You know, there are certain people who suffer from sleeplessness. He may not have that problem. You know, he can have a very comfortable, easy sleep. Also, a few astrologers take it to be sexual pleasures as well, bed comforts. I'm a little doubtful on that point, because that's an interpretation of modern day astrologers that, you know, bed comforts necessarily means sexual pleasures. But I'm not going to you know, create a conflict on that, or oppose that view as well about sexual pleasures, but I think it's more on, good sleep and comfortable bed and the surroundings around the bed, and that's what bed comforts to me, based on my experience with several charts. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not denying the sexual part of it also. So he may have good sexual pleasures. In case sun is placed in the 12th house, aspected or associated in any way by benefics. It could be placed in a nakshatra, and the nakshatra lord where sun is placed could be a benefic planet. That's also one way an association can occur. Okay, in case, the shloka extends and says that in case sun is in conjunction with malefics, then definitely the person is going to incur wasteful expenditure on wrong things, and he's going to go ahead and spend, which he's going to waste his money. Okay, not necessarily on wrong things, could be on good things as well, but he's going to spend. Okay, and he will be deprived of bed comforts. We already discussed what a bed comfort means. In case it's either conjunction or has a association with malefic planets. Now, very interestingly, the shloka extends on to say that in case sun is associated with the lord of the 6th house, the person may suffer from leprosy. Okay, however, it's also mentioned that he will recover from that disease in case a benefic aspects the sun. So regardless of whether a benefic is aspecting sun sitting in the 12th house or not, he may suffer from leprosy. In case there's no benefic aspect or association, then he may not recover from leprosy. Okay, in case there is a malefic association or aspect, then he may, or a conjunction, he may definitely not recover from leprosy. But in case there is a benefic association or a benefic planet is associated with it, either through conjunction or through aspect or through sitting in the nakshatra of a benefic planet, then he will recover. But regardless, like I said, he will still have to suffer from leprosy. There's a very strong chance. I always say chance, I don't say definite. Okay, also the shloka extends to say that in case sun is placed in the 12th, generally it'll make the person sinful. It's not just about expenditure or spending on sinful activities, but generally he may be sinful. Again, I'm using the word may. I'm not using the words will, because the entire chart has to be analyzed. And then whatever disease he suffers from, very clearly mentioned in the shloka, it'll aggravate in case sun is in the 12th. Not a good placement at all. We all know that 6, 8 and 12, third house, these are not good houses. 6th house, 8th house, 12th house, and in some cases third house as well, not a good house. Okay, so 12th house basically is a house of loss anyways, so it's a dusthana, it's not a good house, and we can very conclusively incur on that it's a bad placement, and he's generally going to get bad effects unless of course there is a benefic planet association with it. Malefic planets association really bad with sun. So of course, other than the shloka, there are some modern views as well. Not modern, I wouldn't say. Views of other scholars who have been around for about 1,000 years, 1,500 years back, who could be considered authority as far as their works are concerned, as far as Vedic astrology is concerned. They also they agree. There is a consensus as far as the sun's placement in the 12th house is concerned. They also believe that sun's placement in the 12th house is not not a good placement. However, once again, we discussed in the earlier part of this video that in case sun is in his own sign of Leo in the 12th house, the results may not be as bad, or sometimes can be good as well, because then sun gains strength in its own sign of Leo. It may give good results as well. And also, there's something called a Viparit Raja Yoga as well. It'll also have Viparit Raja Yoga in case sun is sitting in a Dusthana in its own sign. It's kind of a Viparit Raja Yoga. He may get benefit from the government because sun represents government. He may be a leader and he may have a lot of people working under him, or he may be a businessman getting some kind of a help or income from the business. But once again, look at the entire chart and then come to a conclusion. Okay, generally, like I said, the recent scholars about 1,000-1,500 years ago, they all are in consensus that 12th in a sun in the 12th house is not a good placement. Some scholars even go to the extent of saying that he may be inimical towards his father. Okay, because sun is a karaka for father. Moon is a karaka for mother, or a significator for mother. Sun is a significator of father. Okay, so they've mentioned that he may get inimical towards his father, and he will suffer from eye troubles. That's something very, very common as far as several scholars have mentioned that 12th house sun may give eye troubles, and we know that. I've seen it from my own experiences reading several charts, and also there is a consensus, like I said, between the scholars, not the modern day. I don't even refer modern day astrologers as real scholars, although with due respect to them, of course, but I'm talking about scholars who are about 1,500 years ago. And so eye troubles is very, very common, because sun is about eyes. It's about prakash, which is light, and the light of the eyes does suffer in case sun is placed in a Dusthana bad house. But once again, look at it, whether it's placed in its own sign or not, then he may not have eye troubles. And also they say that he will be without wealth and will be childless as well. Okay, some scholars mention that it's so bad that it can give childlessness to the person whose sun is placed in the 12th house. Some scholars say that he will have a very lean body, and he may be one-eyed, and a mean personality, and will be powerless. Why? Because sun is about power. It goes into Dusthana. Then all the good qualities of sun generally has a good quality of being very generous, but when it goes and sits in the 12th house, he could be mean. Sun gives a good body, but if it goes and sits in the 12th house, he could be mean. Basically, sun represents the soul as well, so the soul could get afflicted pretty much because sun sitting in a Dusthana. But once again, look at it, whether it's sitting in its own sign of Leo or not, then the predictions will be totally different, or benefic aspects. He'll be one-eyed, they say. Well, one-eyed, there are people who are one-eyed. One king I remember is Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Not too long back, he was there around the 1800s, about 200 years ago or so. He was one-eyed. It'll be interesting to read his chart. There are several other personalities who had one eye. Check out various charts. I cannot think of anybody else right now who has had a one eye other than Maharaja Ranjit Singh, which comes to my mind. Although some scholars also mention that he may be victorious in battlefield. I don't know what made this comment, victorious in battlefield, but yeah, and generally they do agree that he'll be living in faraway places from his native place to earn his livelihood. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this little video on what are the effects of the planet Sun when it is placed in the 12th house, and do some testing on charts. Test it out on your own. Generally, when you see videos on YouTube, or if you read, it's a wise thing to go out and test it on several charts, your own chart, and then you can come to some kind of a conclusion, taking all factors into consideration. Like I said, looking at it from all angles, all tools, whatever are available to you, because there are so many tools and there are so many scriptures that You may not have your hands on every scripture or every tool, but whatever you have at your disposal, test it out on charts and see. So in the meanwhile, hoping that you enjoyed this video, I will recommend subscribe to my channel, check out my website, there is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic in Vedic astrology in my next session very soon. Goodbye.